Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and give this video a like.
Yep. Check out the podcast below in the description as well.
And check out our sponsor, Tito's Handmade Vodka, if you haven't already, John. How about making a Tito's kickoff this weekend?
Do it right now. Tito's, #1 vodka in America. Sponsor the podcast. Sponsor the YouTube channel.
Little
Make
OJ,
yourself a cocktail.
little Tito's, little soda water, and send us a picture of it.
I know McGlinchey's your guy. He took some shit last year on social media, whatever that's worth. But, he struggled a little bit in the passing game. I know being around him at practice, and I'm sure you talk to him a lot. You expect a bounce back season, and if so, why?
I do. This year, last year, he did get a lot of shit for his play, especially in the pass game, and he understood that. But I think the narrative that's lost with him is that he is one. I mean, he's not, one of the best he's like one of the best run blocking tackles in the NFL, and he's a big reason why they're successful in what they did. In 2019, when everybody's healthy, he was a huge reason in his second year in the NFL why we were so successful in the run game. He has inopportune plays at bad times, which is, can't happen, and he understands that. I think what he really worked hard on this offseason was identifying that, understanding it, taking ownership, and then working on that mindset of, when things don't go my way, it's not college, it's not high school, it's the NFL. You're going to lose sometimes. And I think the first thing for him was just understanding that is an issue. I'm going to work through it. And then also he really focused in on a couple technique issues, especially in his pass game, that, he was stopping his outside foot a little bit and getting a little bit too much weight on his heels. So he really took a lot of time this offseason, stayed up here in the Bay Area, worked really hard to iron out those technique issues. And I think it's going to be a big year for him.
Great question on McGlinchey, and great, really unique perspective.
I'm a pro.
Yep. Big J. Very unique perspective. Let's welcome in Jeff Schwartz now for more. Oh, we're going to be the offensive line analyst on this one. I thought it was interesting that he made a technique comment. There were a couple of really good things Joe said there, but one was there's a technique issue that he's addressing. One thing when a talented, when somebody doesn't perform well, you like to know that there is something that you're trying to fix. Right?
He's lost a step, guy. Does he lost a step? Where's his power?
Right. And he also, what's the other thing Joe just hammered home in that clip? Let's not forget, we're talking about one of the best run blockers in the NFL on a team that needs to run the rock.
You get paid to pass protect in the NFL, though.
That's true.
Right?
That's
you
true.
get paid to rush the passer and protect the passer.
And Staley acknowledged, there were just some bad moments in some big spots that became, I heard him say something, it was either to Papa or Kawakami, about how as an offensive lineman, you could always tell what people were talking about during the broadcast in the locker room after the game. If you showed up as an offensive lineman to your locker and there were 30 people waiting to talk to you, you knew well, they must have been killing me during this game. I don't know what they saw, but I know I was getting killed because my best games, there's nobody here.
Yeah. That's part of being an offensive lineman. I bet if we really dove into McGlinchey's season, 7 or 8 bad moments for how many snaps isn't actually that terrible. If we did the same for Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel or Jimmy Ward, their ratio is not that. But you give up 1 sack a game. Didn't you say Jeff Schwartz said this before? You give up 1 sack a game, you're out of the league in 1 year?
Yeah, he's like, if you get 1 sack a game, you're one of the greatest players ever. You give 1 up a game, you're never playing again.
So I think that the thing that scared people is he kind of looked slow and guys could get around him and shove him around a little bit. And McGlinchey, I think everyone thought they were getting this tough Notre Dame guy. And like Staley said, he is a powerful run blocker. But why in the pass game is he kind of getting abused? And he mentioned some kind of inside football, a step. If it's just that simple and he can just anchor a little bit better now, he's bigger. Guy, the Niners drafted him. Part of this conversation, he was the 9th overall pick to play right tackle. So they used a top 10 pick on an offensive tackle. Just that alone, they need this guy to be. They don't need him to be Joe Staley, but they need him to be a 10-year starter.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You don't need him. When you draft these guys, particularly these positions, because they're so premium and they're paid so highly, when you use a pick that highly on a guy, you want him to be your anchor over there, and we don't have to think about it for another decade. Because we know the second you have to start worrying about your offensive line, looking for guys, scrambling for guys, we saw with Trent Williams, he was their guy, and they had to outbid the Chiefs to keep him. It gets really expensive, and it gets really difficult.
But with McGlinchey, if he's good, they won't have to deal with any of the Trent stuff because they'll be able to extend him. He's still got a 5th-year option, which they've already picked up. I'm just saying, like, they control it. They are on their knees praying every day that he just has a really good season. They feel good about extending him this offseason. Yep. But if it gets weird, and if it's not just as simple as Joe saying, the steps, because, again, he can run block his ass off all season long, road grading dudes, tossing whoever they're playing. You agree he won't get that much credit for that if he given up a sack every other game and just in big spots? Yeah, he just won't.
The question is, what is Kyle Shanahan? What do they think about him, right? Because all of us.
But I guess my point, if he starts feeling like a liability in the pass game.
Yeah.
Because he did last year.
Well,
and he's known as a tough guy. The other thing, we didn't ask Joe about this, and I think he's, a game hasn't happened. He's a tough guy. And last year, he's like going back and forth with people on social media. It's like, and I get it. He's a little younger, but you and I have talked to him. I didn't get that vibe when we were around him. And I think they're just looking for kind of an old school, almost like he's affiliate, like a hockey player type guy, just tough, and you just don't even worry about him. That's what I think they thought they were getting.
Yeah.
And I think they thought they got that the first couple years. And last year was ugly. I mean, Joe clearly they talked about it internally. McGlinchey and his staff and what he's telling his friends, because Joe's one of his good buddies.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But if he's not good, it would be a major problem for the Niners.
Yeah, right? And this will be one of those we'll know when we see it. Right.
Because they don't have a first-round pick to get another tackle.
No, they don't. But also, because it was such a big story last year, it got to the point that everyone was watching every snap.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to get beat. That's just going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to give up a sack or two.
But it's like the collective here. We'll see. It would not hurt just to get a little momentum going the other way for there to be a couple plays early in the season where, did you see McGlinchey, a pancake there and I mean, I don't. It's hard to say like, because we only talk about them when they fail generally. This is where Duke Mayweather and Jeff Schwartz they're big for the culture because they tweet out good plays. They teach.
I'd say week two guy, he's going home to Philadelphia, and they have an excellent defensive line. That'll be. I think that offensive line, but no one's going to be like, can Trent Williams handle Brandon Graham? No, it'll be like, well, if McGlinchey gets matched up on a Brandon Graham, on a Barnett, if they move Fletcher Cox over there, can he just handle him?
Well,
right?
Then it's Green Bay, and then it's Seattle and Arizona.
Yeah, they got some defensive line.
Indianapolis, Chicago, Arizona, the Rams. Like that, I just read games in order right there.
That's a tough schedule.
Yeah. I thought they were in last place last year.